Hello there, welcome to So Much Sewing. My name is Catherine and this channel is all about my home sewing adventures. It's all about what I get up to here in my sewing room. Today what I'm getting up to is letting you know that I'm doing a collaboration with Carol from Polly Sews. Carol started her channel about the same time as mine, I would say, 2 or so years ago, and I've just been, she and I have just sort of caught up on each other's channels as we've gone along. We've had various chats along the way, and I just thought that it would be a wonderful idea for us to do a collaboration. I'm on a bit of a kick at the moment, trying to be more sort of thoughtful with the patterns and fabrics that I'm using, a little bit more thoughtful, particularly regarding the patterns, in that I feel like it's easy to pigeonhole patterns into either this or that, a spring pattern or a winter pattern, or a pattern that suits this kind of person or this kind of body shape. But, as sewists, we can adapt our patterns as we need to. As we grow our skills and our experience and our confidence, we can grow and develop the patterns that we have in our stash, because these patterns are not cheap. We know why they're not cheap, because the designer has spent a lot of time and energy and money producing their pattern collection. And so, it's right that we spend a reasonable amount of money on their patterns, because their time and money and effort and brain power is worth the money. But we spend good money on these patterns, and it's great to be able to extend the use of them. And as I showcased in the collaboration I did with Gini from the Big Sew Along, we took one pattern, a jacket pattern, and I sewed it in a sort of autumny, wintry type fabric, and Gini sewed it in a more spring, summery type, probably more spring type fabric, just to showcase that a pattern you might normally think of as winter can be used for spring as well. And likewise with this pattern, I feel it's the kind of pattern where you might think, oh, it's suitable for this type body shape or this type of person, someone with this type of aesthetic in their dressing. But each pattern can be used for a variety of body shapes. It can be used for a variety of personalities of the wearer of the item, and it can suit a variety of personal preference when it comes to dressing styles. I think it's probably fair to say that Carol and I have got different personal styles when it comes to the way we dress. But funnily enough, we like a lot of the same pattern companies and patterns. For example, I know Carol absolutely loves Merchant and Mills patterns, and so do I. She loves Style Arc patterns, and so do I, even though I have the odd little few grumble about Style Arc. I still love them on the whole. So we've got a sort of I don't know how it works, because we've got a sort of similar aesthetic in the patterns that we like, but I think our personal styles are quite different. Anyway, long story short, Carol graciously agreed to collaborate with me on this pattern, and the one we're using is the Kashmir Canton jacket, Canton jacket, which is a sort of a Moto style jacket. There are 2 versions. There's quite a cropped version, and then there's your standard sort of, what would you call it? I guess it's high hip version. It's got some really great features like the full zip up the front here that you can sort of flop open. It's got zips in the pockets. If you decide to do the longer version, it's got zips in the cuffs. It's got a couple of metal studs or poppers or whatever you want to call them. And in the back, there's some fisheye darts. In the longer version, where it sort of ends at high hip, it's got full fisheye darts. on the shorter version, they are just darts that finish at your waist. What else to tell you about it? The fabrics that they say you can use are mid to heavyweight woven fabrics such as boiled wool, boucle, jacquard, denim vinyl, or leather. Low stretch woven fabrics will also work, and you need a lining, you know, something lightweight like rayon, Bemberg, or creme de chine. Sounds like something you eat. Crepe de chine, sorry. Crepe de chine, not creme de chine. And so you need your zips and your little snappy things. What have they called them? They've called them snap caps. So I've been trying to figure out what size to make, and it's quite funny because both Carol and I feel quite intimidated by this pattern. I feel quite nervous about making it. It's quite an involved make, and let me show you how many pattern pieces there are on this baby. 1 second, I've got it printed out here. That's how many pattern pieces there are. What have I done? What have I done? So yeah, there are a lot of pattern pieces. Of course, that's all the lining pieces there as well. It is a little bit intimidating, the number of pattern pieces there, but I don't ever actually mind putting together a lot of little pattern pieces like that, because I feel like it is quite simple. You know, you sew this part to this part, and once you've sewn all those little bits of pieces together, you do come out with, you know, something pretty cool. So I don't mind the fact that there's so many pattern pieces there, although it is a little bit intimidating. So yeah, Carol and I are both a bit nervous, but you know, we've got this. I'm sure we've got this. Does it say what sort of, I don't know if it's considered, I'm sure it's not beginner friendly. Maybe it's intermediate. Let me just check that out. Yeah, they've given it an intermediate sewing skill. I'm sure that's right. I'm a little bit miffed. They've tricked me about the zip. They've told me what size zip to get. But of course, if you're making this longer jacket, your zip needs to be longer than if you're making the shorter jacket. And so I started thinking, what's going on there? How's that going to work? And then I realized, they want you to shorten the zip to be exactly the right length, which sounds like a great thing, but now I've got to do something different, which is learn how to shorten a zip and make a new zipper stop and all the rest. But they do have a video that tells you how to do that, which I've watched, and I'm sure it's easy enough. But it's another step, isn't it? But that's okay. That is okay. So I've been trying to figure out what size to make. And of course, Kashmir has got an amazing size range. I've got the pattern in the size from size 12 to size 32, which is from a full bust of 102 centimetres or 40 inches up to 152 centimetres. Actually, no, 157 centimetres for the GH cup. So a bust of up to 157 centimetres, which is 62 inches. And of course, they've got smaller sizes from 0 to 12 as well. So, you know, CD, EF, and GH bust cup sizes. So fantastic size range. And Kashmir patterns are designed to fit and flatter, you know, a curvier figure. I think the main idea behind Kashmir is that they're for people with fuller busts, which I no longer do have a fuller bust, but I have a fuller tummy. So they're designed for people with curves. And so I know I've sewn Kashmir patterns before, and Carol also has sewn Kashmir patterns before. And she likes the block on her as well as I like it for myself too. But I've been trying to figure out what size to make, and it's actually not as simple, because I said in my last video I've actually put on some weight. And so I did some measuring today, and I've put on a heck of a lot around my middle, which is where I do put my weight on. My bust is still the same, but my middle has expanded quite substantially. So what I'm actually going to have to do is make a size 14 in the bust and a size 18 at the hip. Well, actually at the waist, because I'm going to do the cropped version, which is going to finish around about my waist. So size 14 at the bust and size 18 at the waist. So I will just grade out and make that happen. One thing I noticed when I was looking at the finished garment measurements on their instructions is that it doesn't give you a sleeve length, which is, I mean, obviously I'll be able to measure the sleeve and figure it out, but it's usually good to have a finished sleeve length, and I'm surprised that there isn't a finished sleeve length in these instructions. The other thing that made it tricky for me to figure out what size to make is because I've got a jacket that I absolutely love. It's a Moto jacket that I purchased. I went to a market actually it wasn't recently, it was many months ago. It was must have been last spring, and I went to the market in my new city where I live, looking at the weather forecast, thinking it was, saying it was going to be sunny and a certain number of degrees, and I thought, yes, it'll be warm, I'll be fine. But of course, a temperature and a certain temperature and sunny in Christchurch means something completely different from that same temperature and sunny up in Auckland where I lived. I don't know how it works, but it was a lot colder down here. So I got to the market and I absolutely froze. So long story short is I bought this amazing jacket, which I absolutely love. It's a Moto style jacket. I've never worn this type of jacket before, and that's what sparked my interest in making the Canton. And so I am getting to the point. The point is that the finished garment measurements on that jacket are a bust of 117, a waist of 114, and a hip of 117, which now at the moment is slightly firm for me. But it's just kind of weird because the finished garment measurements for, like I said, I was going to make the size 18 at the waist. The finished garment measurement there is 114 centimetres, which is what my jacket is, but the finished hip measurement is 131, and my jacket hip finished measurement is 117. So that's quite a difference, and I didn't really want it to be too big and wide and flappy, and I could grade it in at the hip again, down a size, but I'm not sure. So I've opted to go just for the cropped version. For this is kind of almost a twirl. It'll be a wearable twirl, I hope, but it's almost a twirl because if I like this jacket pattern, then I will make it again. Potentially, and this is quite exciting to me, potentially I may make it in a really nice sort of soft and supple lamb leather or something like that. But I need to make it first to see if it suits me and fits me and it works for me and what have you. So yeah, so I'm just be interested to see how the sizing goes. The finished bust measurement for the size 14 that I'm going to make is 116, and the finished jacket measurement on the jacket that I like is 117. So surely that will be fine. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. So Carol said to me, do you know what fabric you're making your jacket out of? And I said, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. All under control, la, la, la. But now that I look at the pattern properly and have had a read through it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. My original idea, and this may still be what I do, my original idea was to use some jeans that I have unpicked, and I wanted to piece these together to make a jacket. So I've unpicked these ones fully, And I've got, where are we? Oh, these ones are still together. Sorry, it says this is the front of the back of the jeans that I just showed you. These are actually a Trelise Cooper pair of jeans. Trelise Cooper in New Zealand is a very well-known designer. She's an international designer, and you know, as New Zealanders, we're all very, very proud of Trelise Cooper, but generally her clothing is beyond my reach financially, because she is, you know, a top range designer. But these I purchased secondhand off Trade Me. And I've got another pair here which is a lot darker. Obviously I've started taking these apart, but I have more to do. So I'm just hoping I can use some of these features on the jacket somewhere. Obviously these are they're similar weights, but obviously really different colors. And so now I think about it, I'm just not sure how they're going to work together. But I do have a couple of other fabrics that I am thinking could possibly work. The back of the jacket, which I haven't actually got a printout here, so I'll just have to look back at my screen again. The back of the jacket has got 2 back panels on it. There's no back yoke. So often, like for example, on the Smitten jacket from Pattern Emporium, there's so much opportunity to use up scraps of fabric and, you know, mix and match, pattern match, what do you call it? Pattern block fabrics together, because they've got all those panels on the back, whereas the Canton jacket just has the 2 panels. So I hadn't kind of fully realized that as I was thinking about what fabrics I would use. So yeah, less opportunity for piecing pieces together. And I mean, that's really the concept that I wanted for this jacket, was piecing these jeans together. So hopefully it can work out. But I've got this corduroy. This is a very fine needle cord. Oh look, cat fur. She's had herself near this. She sleeps in the bottom of my fabric wardrobe behind me here. So yeah, so that could work in with those. I've got this leftover wool, which could also work well mixed in with these jeans. So they're the sort of kind of fabrics I'm thinking about. Oh, there's one more, actually, I'll just grab it. There's this cotton twill in it that is probably, the colour's a bit brighter on my screen as usual than it is in real life, but that's this, you know, it's a beautiful blueberry. Would you call it blueberry? It's just an amazing black currant, maybe. I love this colour. Very deep, lovely soft twill. So there is this. But I've got quite a lot of this. If I use it to make a jacket, then that cuts into this and leaves me with less options for making something out of it afterwards. So I just need to think very carefully about it all. As far as lining goes, I've got some very lightweight cotton voile, which could work. It does have a reasonably slippy hand, and I also have this hammered silk. It's polyester, I'm sure, but you know, that's probably more traditional for lining, isn't it? So I do have that, and I do have some other things that I can use for lining as well. So like I say, a bit nervous about this make. Really, it's, you know, more involved than I normally go for. I'm quite maybe I'm a lazy sewer. I just like to know what I'm doing. I like to whip something up. I don't generally line things, make things that need lining. So yeah, I guess I'm a lazy sewer. So this is more involved than I normally do. But hey, I really want to make myself a Moto jacket. As I say, if it works out, I'll be making it in a lovely soft leather lambskin. It's a great way, as I say, to, you know, just showcase the fact that there may be a pattern that is styled in a way on the envelope that isn't your personal style, or perhaps they've used a fabric that isn't your personal style, or, you know, it's shown on a person with a body much different from you. That doesn't mean to say you can't use that pattern. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say Carol and I have a similar sort of body shape, but as I said, our personal styles are completely different, but that doesn't mean to say that we can't use the same patterns, the same sewing patterns, and that they will end up, you know, looking different on us. They'll look like they suit us. They fit us. So yeah, just another way of perhaps expanding your mind a little bit and thinking outside the box when it comes to those millions of patterns we all have in our sewing room that we just go, no, there's something a little bit off about that. I don't like the way it's styled with this or whatever. Think outside the box and you might be surprised. So that's really all I had to talk to you about today. I think we're going to reveal these in June. I think that's when we decided we would reveal these. But, you know, it's flexible. I'm sure if Carol needs extra time, I won't mind. I may well need extra time. She won't mind, I'm sure. So stay tuned for our creations whenever you get to see them. I am, of course, going to link all Carol's details down below. Go and have a look at her channel. Have a look at her video where she's talking about her version of the Canton jacket. But have a look at her other videos. She has got some, you know, I think over the years, her sewing sort of, what do you call it? Well, basically her sewing adventures have kind of mimicked mine in lots of ways, and our ups and downs have been quite similar. But in fact, go and have a look at her last video. We can all relate to it. I'll link it below. It's one where she made an absolutely gorgeous linen tank top. She was so proud about how it came out, and it did look fantastic. And then she did some embroidery. She's got an embroidery machine. She embroidered a little dog onto her vest top down the bottom there, and it looked amazing. I mean, I was stunned by this embroidery motif that she put on there, but there was a little hiccup with it. So yeah, go and have a look at that. I think that, you know, Carol's very real with her channel, as I hope I am, and she shows the fails as well as the wins. I'm sure you'll enjoy watching her. Go and have a look at her, and come back and see me next week when I will be talking about something else. See ya.